And so describe in precise economic terms, what is a shitcoin?
Basically, the term shitcoin has been mentioned in Congress now. It's in the congressional record after Representative Warren Davidson mentioned it last year. And it's the definition I would venture for it, and I think a lot of people will agree with this. A shitcoin is a form of money that has somebody at the top of it who can just make more of it at their will. And so anything that has somebody in charge who can make more of it is a shitcoin. And so that there are, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 shitcoins that are digital, that copy Bitcoin's code in certain ways and do the same thing that Bitcoin does. But they have a guy in charge, or a group of people in charge, all of them. And essentially those people can change the supply at any point in time.
Okay, so I think I love about Bitcoin was this: as its price went up, or its value went up, its volume went down. Whereas the US dollar, by your definition, is shitcoin. Because as the value of the dollar comes down, its volume goes up. They print more of it.
Yep, exactly.
But you understand, that's why I like gold and silver also, is because I don't trust a shitcoin called the US dollar.
Absolutely. That's exactly the point that I make in my book. The first 7 chapters of my book are to make this point, that the most important thing in money is the stock to flow ratio. It's the ratio of the existing stockpile, of the existing supply, to the flow, to the new production. And things that have a high stock to flow have always historically been money. And historically, the thing that has had the highest stock to flow is gold. And second place is silver. Bitcoin is different because its stock to flow now is going to overtake gold's stock to flow. It's going to become higher than gold over the next few years.
And that's why I own it. But let me ask this question. Okay, so that's so why can't, the question was, we had these things called ICOs, initial coin offerings and all that. Are those shitcoins?
These are shitcoins. Yes, absolutely. They're definitely shitcoins. All the ICOs, all the other coins other than Bitcoin, they are shitcoins because all of them, whatever you think about the technology and the things that they're doing, there's a group of people behind them who could get together and change the supply quite easily. With Bitcoin, we know for a fact that this is very, very, very difficult to happen. And I would like to tell anybody who thinks that it can happen, to go ahead and try and do it, because we've had a concentrated cartel, essentially, of the most significant businesses in Bitcoin, along with some of the most important developers in Bitcoin, and a lot of people with a lot of Bitcoin get together a couple of years ago and try and change the code behind Bitcoin to change one small parameter in the code of Bitcoin, not even change the supply. And they couldn't do it. None of the other coins have that. The US dollar doesn't have that. There's people in charge of the US dollar who can make an endless amount of it. And that's why it too, and all national currencies, in my opinion, are shit coins.
So, yeah, I understand that. So are you saying it's almost impossible for somebody to write a code alongside Bitcoin's code or duplicate the code, but call it Joe's coin?
It is possible. You can do it, but good luck with doing it and getting the market to value that as if it is Bitcoin. So it's as if, if the Zimbabwean central bank prints more dollars, that's not going to devalue the US dollars. People can tell the difference. Just because they're both called dollars, that's different. And so all these other coins, if you look at their charts, over 5 years, all of them end up basically flatlining against Bitcoin. They tend towards zero and continue to collect more zeros next to the decimal point as they tend toward absolute zero and zero liquidity.
I understand that, because when I was starting off in gold, they said, what's the definition of a gold miner? The definition of a gold miner is a liar standing next to a hole in the ground. So I understand, there was a lot of fakes out there. The reason I love Bitcoin and all this is because I think the dollar is criminal, what they're doing. The centralized bank, the Fed and the Treasury, they just keep printing more of it to solve our problems. So and that's the reason I have gold, silver, and Bitcoin, is because the Fed and the US dollar, and in my opinion, all fiat currencies, with the euro, the yen, and the peso, they're shit currencies. I mean, would you agree?
You're not going to get any argument from me about that.
Yeah, I know that. My question is then, if the Fed and centralized banks come up with centralized coins, what's your opinion on that? Because that's why I'm asking That's why I talk to guys like you. What do you think is going to happen?
I think people think that this is competition for Bitcoin, but in my mind, it's advertisement for Bitcoin. This is just them telling you what is really valuable about Bitcoin. That, hey, you know, sign up, take our currency where the supply is up to us. We determine it at any point in time, and we can always give anybody as many as we want. And you get no say in the supply, and you can't even know how many there are. And also we get to figure out all the transactions done by you, and we can, you know, if we don't like your Facebook posts, you don't get to eat for a month.
I like your attitude. Anyway,
Yeah.
so if you know, Janet Yellen was Treasury, and she was Fed, and if Biden stays in, she'll become Treasury, which is communism. When the Treasury and the Fed are one, that's centralized government. So are you saying that if Biden came out with the Biden coin, it would be a shitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, we already have something very similar, which is the dollar. I mean, people think these central bank digital currencies are going to be a big deal. They're really not very different from the current currencies because they are, after all, centralized, and their supply is run by the government, by the central bank and the government. You know that. So it's just more consolidation of power. And I think the dangerous thing.
No, what you're saying is they can't do it. The Fed cannot do it, and the Treasury and the government can't do it.
I think they can produce a shitcoin, but they cannot produce something that competes with Bitcoin.
Right.
They can't because, you know, the whole point of having a central bank is that you want to control the money supply, and you want to give the government control over payment clearance. And Bitcoin takes those two things away from government and puts them in code. Bitcoin is just using software to replace all of that stuff. And so if you use software to replace that, it's just a far more efficient way of doing it. And that's ultimately why I remain optimistic about Bitcoin, because it's not a competitor. It's not a company that's out there saying, hey, we're going to put the US government's central bank out of business and offer software solution instead of it. It's not Uber. There's no CEO. It's a software solution. It's an open source software solution that anybody can adopt.